Hey guys, this is Ben Leibovich coming at you again. In case if you hear my kids in the background, sorry, I am at home, wasn't able to get away. Sunday morning. Um, just got off the phone with an investor. Uh, Somebody I reached out to me via email and we connected on the phone this morning. Um, we were talking about multifamily. We were talking specifically about value add. And we'll take a step back. Value add and multifamily in strip malls in commercial space is a function of growing the NOI, right? Because we capitalize a value based on the net operating income. Okay. So relative to that, most people can easily understand that you hike your rents and you grow your income. However, there's another piece to it. Let me give you an example. Explain it through an example. Try to explain it anyhow. In my marketplace, something happens when you go from rent of 575 to 615. Uh, the difference isn't much, right? $40 a month. Difference is not much. I mean, if somebody can afford 575, they reasonably should be able to afford 615 or six and a quarter. But something interesting happens, and that is that in my town, Lima, Ohio, when you jump from 575 to 615 or six and a quarter, you graduate a tier of tenant class. I don't know how this works. I'm just telling you that when you go from 575 to 615, you are looking at a different tenant, different type of tenant. Something happens with that different type of tenant, which is that they will stay longer. They will leave the apartment cleaner when they do go. Your turns, so just with those two things, your vacancy rate is going to be lower and your turnover costs are going to be lower. Okay? Something else happens is that once you are talking about a person in 615 price point in my town, if you take them next year to 625 and the year after that to 635, they can handle it. So you can force that appreciation. Okay. But the tenants that are in the 575 price point to begin with, you're going to have a hard time getting them to 585, 595, 615. It's just, I don't know, this is how it works. Some people decided we're not going to rent a place for any more than 575, and they're probably logical and reasonable about it in terms of they don't have the income to support it. But we need to raise those rents. We need to keep the turnover costs low. We need to keep the vacancy lower. It's not just value add in multifamily, it's not just a function of raising rents. It's a function of compressing losses. And all these quote unquote economic losses, like loss to lease, like vacancy, like to some extent turn costs. I just got an apartment back. Lady was in there for 2 years at $700 or whatever it was. She left it spotless. I sent my guy in to patch a couple of holes, exchange locks. She even had the carpet steam cleaned when she moved out. She thought that was appropriate. That's the type of tenant I want. So let's take a step back and consider the building. We started, he and I, my telephone conversation. Uh, it went there because he gave me an example of a building he's considering. And we started examining the rents, what the building is, where the building is, who it's going to attract. Okay? And it came down to I wouldn't buy a building whereby I couldn't do this very thing. I couldn't go from a lower class of tenant to a higher class of tenant through the means of natural selection by simply hiking the rents. It's just what I do. Uh, that's how you create value in multifamily. That's why you've heard me say and others say many times, you want to buy a C building in a B location. Well, what does that mean? That means that you take C class tenant base and replace it with a B class tenant base because the location supports it. You take a B building in an A location. You do the same thing. You grow from B tenant class to A tenant class. That's the competitive advantage. If you buy a building that is a B class building in a B class location, then you're always going to be B class. You're not going to be able to compete with A class because your location locks you in B class, and therefore value add is impossible. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's one of those perspective uh, kind of back of your mind kind of rationale type things that I think always have to be present in what we do. You know, I think I mumbled a little bit in this video, but I think there's a lot of actionable, valuable content here. Please feel free to leave me a reply underneath. I'd be happy to talk more about this. My name is Ben Leibovich with JustAskBenY.com. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.